All right, you guys, it's time. It's my favorite time, semicolon time. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. These ones are my favorite one. Favorite form of grammar, which I think kind of makes me a nerd, but all nerds are cool, right? Because if you know how to use a semicolon, you can impress so many people. There goes my lights. We're going to do this in the dark. Got it? All right, let's go. So, semicolons, let's talk about them. To understand semicolons, we must first take notes, and we must second understand what a comma splice is. Okay? Comma splice. I see these a ton in writing. A comma splice is where you just throw a comma in and you don't use a fanboy, and it's terrible. And the rules of English, which are difficult, they say you can't do that. So here's my example. I was going to hit the weights. I got tired and I ate an entire pizza instead. All right. Threw a comma in there, didn't know what to do. Incorrect. All right. Incorrect. If I wanted to do a comma there, I would have to do it one of two ways. First one, comma fanboy, for and nor but or yet so, right? Our conjunction junctions. And then, or I could also do a semicolon. Remember, semicolon is just that comma, but you add that muscle on top, that dot on top. So semicolons, they can hold two sentences together. They're strong enough to hold them together. They don't need to bring that backup fanboy to the party. They can keep them. They're so strong. So straightforward. People think that semicolons are so hard, but they are not. If I have two complete independent clauses and I want to put those two together because they relate, I am going to use a semicolon. Easy as that. And then I don't have to use a fanboy. It integrates it nicely and it connects it together. Okay. So the reason we use semicolons, besides to show off that you're absolute geniuses, is it's stylistic. All right. It's tying in these two separate sentences and ideas, but also connecting them together, if that makes sense. A semicolon shows that these two ideas that you're putting together, they relate, and that you can just put them together. That easy. It's so easy, you guys. You've got this. So, one thing that I want to talk about is thamos, and tying into independent clauses together is easy now, right? We got our semicolon, but now we want to talk about some thamos, all right? These are transition words, and the reason they call them thamos is because the words that you see here on the left are the most commonly used ones. Again, these are not conjunctions. These are just transition words. They just are connecting. So therefore, however, also, moreover, otherwise. Okay. Here's some examples. We always go to the mountains in the fall, comma, incorrect. However, this year we went to the spring. So how to fix that? We're going to say we always went to the mountains in the fall, semicolon, however, comma, because it's a transition word. This year we went in the spring. So if you wanted to do a period there, you would not be wrong. We would always go to the mountains in the fall, period. You wouldn't be wrong. However, comma, this year we went in the spring. That's fine, but these two sentences do relate together, and that's why we use the semicolon. All right. You can also put that connecting word at the end if you want. We always used to go to the mountains in the fall, semicolon. This year we went in the spring, however. All right. Or you can just pop it in the middle as well. We always go to mountains in the fall. This year, however, we went in the spring. Notice there's a comma in front and behind. So these transition words can go anywhere in that second sentence. Okay, at the beginning, the middle, or at the end. Again, these are transition words. These are not conjunctions. Thamos, okay? So because we've gone over so many of these, I want you to take just a brief review and look at what is a coordinating conjunction. Remember, that's comma, fanboy, for and nor, but or yet so. All right? Remember, we talked about subordinating conjunctions. Since, while, after, because, if, swabbies. And then we also now have added in thamos. I know. They try to make it easier on us, but they sometimes don't. So remember your conjunctive adverbs. I'm just going to call them connecting words or transition words. Again, there's more than just these. There's more than therefore, however, although, meanwhile, or otherwise. There's a ton more, right? Finally, any of those. So I know it's a little confusing, but we're taking good notes. We're absolute geniuses. We're doing fantastic. Also, remember semicolons versus colons, because we've already talked about that. Colons are the two dots on top of one another, okay? Mostly we use those for introducing lists and clarifying. And then semicolons connect to complete thoughts, all right? That's it. You got this. Notice here in my sentence down here, I added one of those transition words, semicolon, however, comma, which we just kind of went over as well. All right. Let's try the sentence. Go ahead and pause for these two. The crabgrass was flourishing, but the rest of the lawn, unfortunately, was dying. The house was clean, the table set, and the porch light on everything was ready for the guest's arrival. Pause. Back at it. All right. So the crabgrass was flourishing, comma, but that's our comma fanboy. The rest of the lawn, unfortunately, was dying. Okay, so even though we do have a transitional word, it doesn't mean that it needs a semicolon. Because if I just said was dying, that doesn't make sense on its own, so it's not a complete thought. However, I said the crabgrass was flourishing. I could put a semicolon there if I wanted and take out the but. That would also work. So if I said the crabgrass was flourishing, semicolon, the rest of the lawn, unfortunately, was dying, that works perfectly fine as well. Here's our second one. The house was clean, the table set, and the porch light on. Those are three. That's a list. Semicolon. Everything was ready for the guest's arrival. Two complete thoughts there, right? And we want to tie them together because it relates. So you could also use a comma and or for there as well, but this makes it a little more stylistic. Semicolons are not that difficult, but they can be intimidating. So hopefully this clears up a little, even though adding those connection words can sometimes be difficult. You got this. I believe in you. You're amazing like usual. Get crazy. You're so close to being done.